Paul Melly, a consulting fellow on the Africa programme at the think tank Chatham House. Can I ask you first what your thoughts are on the way Deby died? He just won an election. He went to the front line to talk to his troops, and then he was injured and dies on the front line.
Well, there's been a long history of repeated rebellions against his regime. As you indicated, he's been in power a long time. He, in fact, came to power himself through a rebellion in 1990. And so, curiously, his career, which began through military action, has ended through it. And sometimes these rebels have come very close. In one case, in 2008, the rebels were actually at the gates of the presidential palace in the Chadian capital, N'Djamena, before they were repulsed. This time, it's quite a few hundred kilometers away. I think the Chadian authorities have suggested 400 kilometers to the northwest of the capital, where he was, as you say, visiting the troops. But he was a career soldier, very much a hands-on person. And so it looks as if he actually went into the, as it were, the front line of the combat zone rather than just remaining in the rear of the action. And we don't yet know any more details about how he came to suffer these fatal injuries or exactly what happened, except that he was evacuated by helicopter to N'Djamena and died there.
So Chad is now being run by a military council under the control of his son. What is this going to mean for Chad? Is it going to increase insecurity?
Obviously, in the very short term, there is a risk of increased insecurity, but the bigger challenge isn't so much what happens about the immediate rebel threat. It appears for the moment as if the Chadian army has repulsed that. But the bigger threat is the fact that while Deby was in power, because he was such a strong ruler and a pretty authoritarian ruler, the election that's just taken place wasn't terribly democratic. Because he was such a strong ruler, many of the problems and tensions within the country were, as it were, squashed or repressed or held in check by the strength of his authority. And so there is a risk, unless this new military council headed by his son, who have taken over on an interim basis, can quickly establish some sort of national consensus by reaching out to political groups to work out a way forward from here, there is a risk that some of these other pressures and problems will quickly bubble up to the surface. Really, Chad needs quite quickly a stable roadmap for how it is going to return to constitutional rule of whatever form, because Deby was such a strong character. He could maintain a strongman system, albeit dressed up in democratic constitutional formality, which an interim regime headed by his son may struggle to do. And there are big questions long-term for Chad. And of course, it's also a major security actor in the region. There are Chadian troops who've been playing an important role in the G5 coalition fighting jihadists in the Central Sahel, in the UN peacekeeping force in Mali, and in the alliance of countries around Lake Chad who've been fighting Boko Haram. And those big strategic choices, they were very much Deby's personal decision. He was the man who ran Chad.
Paul, thank you for your analysis there. Paul Melly from Chatham House.